Finally, it's time. It's finally time for this video. The video so many people have been asking for, so many people have been waiting for. My personal statement, a personal statement which got me into top universities in the UK: Cambridge, Imperial, LSE, UCL, KCL. And I'm here today to share it with you guys so you know what type of writing you should be aiming for, the style of writing you should be aiming for to help you get into these top unis, to get into the universities you want, into the courses that you want. And let's get into it. Before I do start though, obviously I have personal statement review services available. Click the Google Forms link in the description to book it. It's £19.99 for a detailed personal statement review, £34.99 for a review with a call where I'll walk you through everything in, like, not in person but on video, and actually talk to you. I can directly answer your questions. And every time you ask for a review, the price will drop. All the details are there on the form, so make sure you do it. The reviews for this are absolutely amazing. You can check them out on my Discord server. I've done a couple and everyone has been really happy and really satisfied. So please don't miss out on this opportunity. Join my Discord server, join the community. You can ask me questions about personal statement right there on my server. You can talk to other people who are already in university at top unis, all types of people on my Discord server. You will not feel left out. And we have Wordles going on, man. Do the Wordle every single day on my Discord server. Um, but yeah, like and sub, and let's get into it. And straight away, let's go into the introduction. Now, here is my opening paragraph. As you can see straight away, before I start reading it, it's very short. Something which you should be aiming for to be 3 to 4 lines at the beginning of your question one. You don't want this to be too long because you want to save your characters for when you're talking about your super-curriculars, but you want to create a nice sort of setting, tone, and introduction to your entire personal statement, something which will summarize your interest and directly answer that question one of your personal statement. Please, do not go for a typical route people do for your courses. For example, for economics, a lot of people are talking about how they've seen the economic differences, they've seen poverty in their home country, in a country that they've been to, and this has led them to be interested in studying economics. I started to do this, but then I decided to take a more focused approach, which you can see here, on the subject and why the subject itself interests me, keeping it very maths based. If you're applying for economics, keep your personal statement very maths based from the beginning, as you can see from my introduction. Another approach I can recommend to you is to have a very unique approach, a creative approach. Think of something which is unlikely to be a sort of a way of other people being interested in the subjects that you're applying for. If you're able to be unique and be creative, as well as having this focused approach on the subject, I think this would be the perfect introduction. Unfortunately, I wasn't creative and I went straight for the focused approach. Not necessarily a bad thing, but something I encourage people to take. And be creative, be unique, have a think. Now let's have a read. Economics as the study of choices is the key to understanding decision making. So, as I said, focused approach on the subject, and then straight away I'm talking about maths. Mathematics reveals patterns by modeling these decisions and leads to more accurate economic forecasts. As you can see, I'm not pushing the sophisticated trait too much. I'm not trying to talk too sophisticated, but the ideas I'm talking about can be interpreted as being sophisticated. Try and be as straightforward and simple as you can, but don't start adding these really big words, random words, unnecessary words to make it seem like you're smart, to make it seem like you're academic. You're wasting characters. It will just make it sound more waffly, more confusing, something which you should not take as an approach. As I realized how numbers dictated outcomes within systems, so at this point straight away I'm talking about myself and I'm answering that question one straight away. Why am I interested in this course? This reality grew into fascination encouraging me to explore the mathematical functions within economics and pursue it at a degree level. Why do I want to study this degree? Straight away, very, very short introduction, but it's good, straight to the point, answers the question, is a sophisticated portrayal, but I'm not begging it, I'm not forcing it too much. And now, before I go into my next paragraph, I want to talk about something I like to call the Zoom develop stretch cycle. If you have already had my personal statement reviewed, then you know about this cycle, and I'm going to express it so much. The zoom in, develop, stretch cycle. This is a cycle you should be repeating in the paragraphs you talk about your super curricular, and you'll see it in my own personal statement, in my own paragraphs, how I've done it. What this cycle is you mention a super curricular, for example, a book that you have read, and then you zoom in to a particular concept in the book that you found interesting, that you want to talk about. Zoom into it. Then you want to develop it. Why did you find it interesting? What was so interesting about it, etc., etc. Add a bit of development, and then you want to stretch into a secondary super curricular. Now, I have talked about all of this in a previous video, so watch my previous personal statement videos if you haven't already. And once you've developed and you've stretched into this secondary supercurricular, add that development as well. So you've zoomed in, you've developed, and then you've stretched. And now let's go straight into a paragraph, my second paragraph after the introduction, to see how I have done it. I enrolled in Leaf's The Mathematics of Morality course to discover these functions, where I came across Bayes' theorem. Bayes' theorem is what I've zoomed into. I've picked out an aspect and I'm talking about it now. Now I'm going to develop it. Its potential to quantify uncertainty to improve predictive accuracy was highlighted to me. I want to express here that your personal statement is personal. You want to be able to talk about yourself as much as you can. What did you find interesting? What was highlighted to you? What did it lead you to do? It was highlighted to me through its conditional probabilities and iterative nature. That's my development. And now I'm going to stretch into a secondary supercurricular, which I will count as my EPQ. This led me to investigate my EPQ. What did it lead me to do? It's stretching. I'm stretching onto my EPQ now on the effectiveness of Bayesian econometrics in forecasting consumer behavior among young adults. I've stretched it. Now I'm going to develop that a bit. What did I do? How did it affect me? I reflected on how analyzing data trends that those attainable from social media patterns can be used to make more relevant forecasts for younger people. As you can see, I have used the zoom in, develop, stretch cycle here so well, something which you should be aiming to do in your paragraphs. So what I advise for question one is you have that opening paragraph, that introduction, and then you have two of these kinds of paragraphs. Now, obviously, question two is more based on your school, more based on education, more based on online courses. So this one would go in question two. For question one, mention a book, develop that, zoom into an aspect, develop it, and then stretch into something else. Maybe you took part in an essay competition. You get the idea, and then I would aim for two of these paragraphs in question one. So introduction and then two zoom in, stretch, develop cycles. Already, question one is banging. I would weight question one the most, probably up to 2K characters on question one itself, because for me it's the most important one and I advise you to do the same. Let's move on to my third paragraph. When reading Why Econometrics, and then in brackets I've got the author's last name and the year it was published. This is how I would reference all of your books and all of your articles. Have it in single quotation marks and then in brackets. And if it's more than one author, then you just put comma and whatever, or comma finger space et finger space al dot, and that's how you would do it. So comma and the rest of them. I was intrigued. Once again, focusing on what I found interesting. I was intrigued, and now I'm going to zoom in by his mention of optimal control theory, OCT. I've noticed a lot of people in their personal statements, they don't explain what the abbreviation they use is meaning or what it means. So people would just write, I was intrigued by his mention of OCT. Before you abbreviate something, please write out the full form and then abbreviate it in brackets so that whenever you mention it later, you can just use the abbreviation. I understand it takes up characters, but this is the proper way to do it, and I advise you to do it like this, which combines mathematical models into economic planning, once again, developing. And now, less of a stretch, but I'm combining a secondary supercurricular here in conjunction with reading the Nash Equilibrium of Perspective, Holt and Roth, 2004. I expanded on these insights on OCT by delving into the role of calculus in game theory. Pause here. Once again, what did I do? I expanded. Already in the last two paragraphs, you're seeing how much I'm using the word I, how much I'm talking about what did I do? What did it lead me to do? And you need to aim to do the same things. Particularly Nash Equilibrium's real world applications to multiplayer games. I appreciated, once again, what did I do? I appreciated the use of differential equations and optimization to identify the optimal strategies so no player could improve the outcome without worsening the other off. And now, at this point, I want to talk about how important it is on how you portray your ideas, how you portray the things that you want to talk about. As you can see, the ideas I'm talking about are very, very complex, very sophisticated, and this shows my academic nature. I'm not showing my academic nature by making it seem like I'm forcing the sophisticated trait. Please, please, please try to avoid it. Talk in a simplistic manner, but talk about sophisticated things is what I'm trying to express to you guys. And the quicker you learn this, the better it will be. And now I'll move on to the next paragraph. I want to talk about how between paragraphs, I have a link, as you can see here in this paragraph. My appreciation was furthered. I'm linking it to my previous paragraph, but the ideas I'm talking about in each paragraph are new. For example, I'm not still talking about OCT here. I'm not talking about the same things. The Zoom developed stretch cycle, each paragraph needs to be individual. They need to be different to each other, but they need to have some kind of bridge. For example, the best way I can portray this idea is by saying, imagine you're connecting a bridge between two paragraphs, but you're not crossing it. You're not crossing that bridge. You just want that bridge to be there to have that kind of flow. But if you're writing three paragraphs about the same idea, the same concept, it's really boring for the admissions officer. They want something new. So don't make it too exaggerated, too long. My appreciation was furthered when I looked into in-game economies. So in-game economies, finally a completely new idea because it's a new paragraph. I was captivated. What happened to me? What was the influence on me? I was captivated by its integration of mathematics with market dynamics to mirror real-world economies, prompting me to write an article for my school's magazine, The Westcliff Economist. What did it lead me to do? This is how I'm developing. It led me to write an article. You can do something similar. You can portray, you can do a presentation for your economic society if you're applying for economics. If you're applying for psychology, philosophy, do it in your psychology society, do it in your philosophy society. You don't have a society, make your own society. Make your own society, start to present in it so you can use these developments as well. What did I do? I discussed how stochastic processes influence market behavior and characteristics in digital economies. However, and now this is my stretch, however, Davidson's post-Keynesian perspective challenged my understanding by emphasizing the failure of probability models to capture unpredictable events. What did it do? It challenged my understanding. Once again, personal statement, so personal things you need to be talking about. His idea of true uncertainty made me reconsider the reliability. What did it make me do? It made me reconsider the reliability of mathematical models when making economic decisions. At this point in the video, I hope you guys are realizing a couple of things when it comes to writing a personal statement. Firstly, the quality of writing. It needs to be really, really good. It needs to be perfect almost. Your grammar, punctuation, everything has to be amazing. The ideas you're talking about need to be sophisticated. They need to be beyond the A-level specification. I'm sure a lot of you people are watching this video and have no idea what I'm talking about in my personal statement, even if you are applying for economics. And this is the thing that you want to aim for. Portray sophisticated ideas. Don't beg it and try and be sophisticated when you're not. Be simplistic, be straight to the point. And then another thing, try to understand at this point how the zoom in, develop, stretch cycle is working. I'm telling you guys, give me a couple years, they'll be talking about the zoom, develop, stretching cycle in school, okay? Let's start. I started this. This video is proof. I started the zoom in, develop, stretch cycle, and you need to aim to have this cycle in your paragraphs. And lastly, how I keep mentioning myself, how I keep using the words like I, me, my, because the personal statement is an opportunity for you to portray why you deserve a place at their university on their course. The best way to do this is by talking about yourself and your qualities and how you react to academic sources, how you react, what do they lead you to do, what steps do you take outside of school. In my reading of The Art of Statistics, Spiegelhalter 2019, I was compelled by the discussion on time series analysis. I was compelled, zooming into time series analysis here, now I'm going to develop and how it uncovers economic patterns over time. Stop here. I want to talk about how a lot of people fall into the trap where they think development in the develop cycle is about talking about what the book explains what it's talking about. For example, they start talking about let's say for here I started saying Spiegelhalter talks about how important statistics is. Da, 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 da. No, straight away you zoom in and you focus on the idea. Don't start explaining what time series analysis is in a really long way. As you can see, I do it really short here, what it does, and then what I did. I applied this approach to my life by investigating my spending habits and observing any fluctuations in my expenses. What a way I have done here to really show how I'm reacting to these books that I'm reading, to these topics. What am I doing? Through this, I notice seasonal spending patterns, allowing me to anticipate future transactions and improve my budget making decisions. And now that's my development done. Now I'm going to stretch. Inspired, I created a post on TSA for Oxbridge, a social media platform I co-founded, in which I also critiqued the oversimplification of time series data. What did I do? I found an issue in the topic I was initially interested in. And then I recognized the need to spot nuanced patterns to make informed decisions in a data-driven world. It's probably amazing the amount of times I've used the word I in my personal statement. And I was talking to someone and they told me actually that they found it to be a misconception. They thought it would be wrong to keep using the word I, but I encourage it because you want to talk about yourself as much as you can and how you are influenced by these sources. Please watch my previous videos on the super-curriculars, on the personal statement, which go through in more detail what you should be aiming to do and the 4 questions you should be asking yourself when you're trying to write about a super-curricular. For the people applying for economics as well, I hope you're seeing the very mathematical approach I've taken here. If you're aiming to study at Cambridge, LSE, Imperial, UCL, then please, please, please go for a very mathematical approach, something which stands out really well for admissions officers. My trips to India exposed the economic disparities. I know I said to not start your introduction talking about economic differences, but this is different. You'll find out which echoed similar patterns I observed through time series analysis. Once again, that bridge. But I'm not going to cross the bridge and continue talking about time series analysis. I'm going to talk about a new thing. Seasonal fluctuations in the local markets mirrored my spending habits and left me more aware of these economic realities. Following this, I read Development as Freedom, which stated that true development lies in expanding people's freedoms. I underlined this in my submission to the CMA essay competition. Stretching into that essay comp, on the ethical implications of credit scoring algorithms, I demonstrated how the algorithms limited the freedoms of poorer communities by restricting their access to credit. Once again, very similar paragraph to the previous ones, trying to incorporate a zoom in, develop, stretch cycle, which you should be aiming to do in all of your paragraphs, which are about super curriculum. Now, Time for my conclusive paragraph. So obviously the paragraph you would have at the end of your question 3, slightly talking about my extracurriculars. Once again, I feel like this year they're really pushing for you to talk about a work experience you have done, so it's probably worth doing that. If this video gets 10k views at least and 500 likes, then I will definitely make the perfect personal statement plan video. If it doesn't, then I'll think about it. Maybe I can't be asked, but get to 10k views, get me. I'm finally starting to feel like a YouTuber. I'm asking you guys, I'm giving you guys like goals, like limits. Come on, man. I'm making it out. I'm making it out. Let's talk about the conclusion now. Competing in many mathematics events and taking part in Imperial's Further Maths online program has broadened my mathematical abilities. So now I'm starting to talk about a conclusion. I'm bringing everything together to summarize the skills I have. Leading dance stars, kind of an extracurricular. A tutoring company aiding thousands has been a proud achievement alongside education. Don't talk about extracurriculars more than 2 to 3 lines at the most, because the top universities do not care if you like to bake in your free time, if you like to go swimming, if you like to play tennis, you play squash, whatever, they don't care. My academic experiences, which have developed strong analytical and quantitative skills, something looked for in the economics courses I was applying to, so use appropriate skills, have fueled my passion for studying economics, where mathematics forms the fundamental blocks of economic theory. I think this last sentence is a beautiful way to bring everything I've talked about together to summarize why I deserve a place at their university on their course. Please do not use words like at your prestigious university. Stop glazing the university. Start glazing yourself. Talk about what you have, what you will bring to that university, what you will bring to their community. And that is the end of my personal statement. The point of this video is for people who are applying, who are writing a personal statement, to understand the quality, to understand the purpose of a personal statement, to understand how to portray ideas and zoom in, develop straight cycle. I feel like if you're able to write something of similar quality in your 3 questions, you will absolutely smash your personal statement. To use that zoom in, develop straight cycle is going to significantly boost your personal statements standard to help you get into these top unis. I hope you found this video useful. Once again, if you want your personal statement reviewed, Google Forms in the description. Join my Discord server. I'll have a PDF of my entire personal statement on my Discord server for people to access. Okay, so I won't do it immediately after posting this video. I'll wait a couple hours. So join my Discord server and let's get this video to 10k views and 500 likes. Comment any questions you might have. Comment any video suggestions. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like and sub.